So Ange's gone. Let's get the fans' view. We can speak to Chris Cowlin now, who joins us. Chris, very good evening. First of all, how do you react to the fact that Ange's gone?
Mike, good evening to you. I'm a little bit disappointed, I won't lie. 16 days ago, Ange Postecoglou guided Spurs to their first trophy. Our first European trophy in 41 years, our first trophy in 17 years. To me, he has delivered Champions League football for next season. And, that Spursy tag was almost deleted until today with this decision. But we have seen these types of decisions again and again and again. Mauricio Pochettino took Spurs to a Champions League final, didn't spend a penny in any transfer windows in 518 days, was then sacked in the November. Jose Mourinho came in, took us to a cup final, sacked 6 days before the cup final. Antonio Conte, told a lot of home truths in press conferences and then was sacked. We waited 72 days for a manager. Nuno Espirito Santo then walked through the door. Now, Ange, to me, yes, 22 league defeats is not good enough last season, but to take us to a European final and get us over that line and, getting that Champions League spot, I am very, very disappointed, if I'm honest. And am I surprised? Probably not. It's what the club do next really does worry me because, we've got Champions League football. And if I can say that, I feel like it's going to put more and more pressure on the board now to deliver because the expectations are even higher and they will need to invest heavily in the transfer market. But I feel like if they would have given Ange, more depth in this squad, we would have been better in that league position. But, to sack a manager after winning a trophy for us, to get us Champions League football, it's very, very disappointing.
Chris, it's interesting, isn't it? Because in the club statement, it said it is crucial that Spurs compete on multiple fronts. Now, didn't Ange show that he couldn't do that? Because, yes, you won a European trophy, but the league form dropped off horrendously.
Absolutely. The squad is very limited and he put all of the eggs in the basket of getting Champions League football. Now, if you asked anyone at the start of the season that we'll be winning a trophy and the following season we'll be playing Champions League football, every single Spurs fan, and I'm sure the board would have taken that as well, to be fighting on all fronts, what would have been better then? Spurs to have finished in 6th or 7th or 8th place in the Premier League and not had so many defeats. He still got the job done in order to get us Champions League football. And that trophy parade, which was 2 weeks ago today, was one of the best days of my life. It was incredible. The thousands of fans, down that high road enjoying themselves. And, if you ask the majority of the Spurs fan base right now, everybody wanted Ange Postecoglou to stay. Yes, there are the minority who probably shout the loudest. There are a lot of fans that, they will see this as good news. But, can we be a club, keep going round in circles, keep appointing manager after manager every 18 months to 2 years? This is the 7th manager, since Mauricio Pochettino left in 2019. Can we keep operating like this? It must be very, very disappointing, for a lot of the Spurs fans today, because this was meant to be a new project. So now a new manager needs to come in. The project needs to start again. And that manager then may say, well, these players aren't going to fit my system. We need new ones. And then we're going to have to wait longer as a fan base for us to then move forward. 2 weeks ago, that trophy parade, we want to feel like that all the time as Spurs fans because these trophies are way, way overdue at the club. But I just can't see us keep going round in circles is a good thing for the football club.
Chris, I hear you. In their club statement, though, the board said, look, these decisions cannot be made on emotion. You've just won a trophy. Do you not have to beware that you don't do what Man United did? And Erik ten Hag won a trophy. They kept him and then they got rid of him sharpish early in the next season.
I think the squad depth is a key thing here. If Ange Postecoglou was given the players and the board actually spent the money that we need to for us to be a top 4 club, because I feel like we are a million miles away from being a top 4 club right now, to finish top 4 in the Premier League. Spurs have fast-tracked themselves into Champions League by winning the Europa League, which I thought was an excellent idea under Ange Postecoglou. And as far as I'm concerned, he delivered this season. I think if you would have said to somebody, when Ange Postecoglou was appointed, that we will finish 5th in his first campaign, and then in his second campaign, we'll win a trophy, and then we'll qualify for the Champions League, I think everyone would have bitten your hand off, especially losing Harry Kane at the start of his tenure as well. But it is about the depth. Who is going to come in now and do a better job That is going to be an interesting one. Where do the club go from here? That's going to be very interesting. But I feel sorry for Ange because he said, from the off, I always win in my second season. I feel like a lot of people didn't like the fact that Ange Postecoglou proved people wrong. But he can be very proud of what he achieved at Spurs because, to deliver us success after 17 long years, and as I said at the start, 41 years without a European trophy, I feel like he's done a very good job with the tools that he has been given, especially with the amount of injuries and problems he has had in the last 2 years.
Yeah, Chris, you're clearly in the Ange camp, but he has gone, and you asked, what do the club do next? We understand the leading contender is Thomas Frank from Brentford. What do you think?
Well, it's not necessarily being in the Ange camp. It's I'm a realist, and I worry about the future of the football club. So it's not me supporting Ange Postecoglou. It's about being on the right track for the football club, in my honest opinion. But Thomas Frank, if he was to come in, no Champions League experience, that's going to be an interesting one. However, he has done a very, very good job in the Premier League with limited resources, and you've always seen him bring good players in. He's developed players. He plays a nice style as well. He's a very nice guy in the media. So, watch this space. Let's see what happens next.